in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. I want to make this clear that we preach transparency. Members of the ruling Unity Party government, we came to power on the back of transparency, integrity, and we'll always hold that to the highest esteem. This is why we haven't shied away to provide the truth to the public when we made our first public appearance to give an insight as to what obtained in Bassa and thereafter. We could not be very hasty to provide report to the public because we needed to get the report from different committees that handle different aspects of the retreat. And before a report is provided, whether to the public or our reporting order, we needed to also brief our colleagues in the Senate to provide similar report in the Senate so that all of us are together in ensuring that whatever information will be sent out there will be the truth and nothing but the truth. So with that said, we'll provide an update and then we'll leave you with all the documents that are brought because there's nothing here to hide. So on May 2nd, 2024, the Secretary of the Senate wrote the Minister of Finance and Development Planning requesting for $290,000. And that $290,000 is under the Senate budget, and then is captured under the line constituency visit. So that $290,000 request is here under the signature of the Secretary of the Senate since May 2nd, 2024. And when the request was made, it was said that the budget, the national budget, has not been concluded and they could not access it at the time this request was made. So it was on account of that that the Senate did her budget. And when the Senate did her budget, what came as a draft in the 2024 budget of the Senate was $10,227,571. And then the previous Senate budget, as all of us know, was a budget that had operational lines and other lines. So the Senate took a decision to take off the operation line. So what basically left as a core function of the Senate is the committee hearings line, legislative committee hearings. On this line, you have in it, in the current budget, $2,020,000. In this 2024 budget, I will give you the documents. So when the budget was passed, the Senate budget was restored. In this restoration of the Senate budget, you have vehicles in this restoration, because after every 3 years, there's a policy here that all lawmakers will have a $45,000 under the House of Representatives or the Senate budget on the line called transport equipment, stroke vehicle. So in this budget, that money was placed there for the purchase of transport equipment or vehicle at the rate of $45,000 that will go to a vendor. That the bid will be, or the Senate Procurement Committee will put up a bid, and those vehicle dealers will, apply it. So after the budget was passed and the Senate budget was restored, a communication was sent to that effect. And this is a communication that was sent from the Secretary of the Senate transmitting the Senate detailed budget that will leave with you. The Senate detailed budget that will leave with you. And the Senate detailed budget stands at $18,046,853. So if a draft budget came in the tune of $10 million, although the previous budget was $16 million, 2023 it was $16,719,000. You can find the budget copy. I will also leave the 2023 budget with you so that you are not seeing anything that is new here. And if the alternate of that budget is anything to go by, the alternate of this 2023 budget, the Senate budget shows $21,880,929. So in budget term, the alternate is the presumed actual money. It is assumed that the money that the entity received, although you had a budget of, like I said, $16,719,255. The 2023. When we say Senate budget, it comprises the pro tem and then the Senate as a whole. That includes all the department administrative staff. So it was 16,2023, 719,255. But in this same line, the alternate shows 21,880,929. Although there was no vehicle purchase 2023 because it's a non-recurring expenditure line. Anything that is non-recurring, it means that every year you can repeat it. So if there were no vehicle purchase in the 2023 Senate budget, it's still at 16 million plus, but then the alternate show 21 million. This year budget, the Senate budget stands at 16,527,371, with 1,555,000 on account of vehicle. And that would not be recurring. Next year we'll not have the 1,555,000. So it means that if this document that came from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning that you can all access, put the Senate 2023 budget at 21,880,929 as an alternate, it means that the current Senate budget is less of the last year budget by $3,834,076. Although we buying car this year, but the budget is still less by $3 million, just the Senate. And that's speaking for the House of Representatives. Just the Senate. This 2024 budget, the Senate budget is less by $3,834,076. So everything we do, you try to be legal, and we will not follow a path of illegality. So this, our Secretary of Senate transmitting our detailed budget to the minister after the passage of the budget and the restoration. So the detailed budget is here. And in this detailed budget, we have the $290,000 on this line. as constituency visit. And then we had committee hearing, that is our core function, 2,020,000. And purposely in this budget we said nothing like operation. So you have the operation space empty. In previous budget, like this one I gave you, when you check there in the center you have operation. So this year we said no, our function is strictly committee hearing. Everything gets into plenary, it is passed on to committee. When confirmation comes, it is passed on to committee. So our core function is committee hearing. So that's how you have this 2 million for the entire year and 20,000. So if a request is made, you will not make a request that is not in your budget or any line in your budget. So this is the transmitter, and this detailed budget transmitter was sent to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning to the Minister May 30th, 2024. So it means I will have a legal document I will present it, and so that our request can be now made. Although the 290 were requested since May 2nd, but we haven't done our detailed budget. So we could not have access any money in the magnitude that will be above any line if that line is not fully restored. So the Senate made a request on May 2nd, but it wasn't approved because this detail that was sent, at that time the minister did not have it, so instruct them to put it in the IFMIS system. So that's the record for that. We wanted to establish that. And yeah, we'll pick it up from there. Then comes the 275,000. On June 3rd, 2024, the Secretary of the Senate again, when the leadership of the Senate decided to go for a retreat, and then the retreat was not finalized, but it was proposed that there should be a retreat. And that retreat committee was set up. And then the committee went to work to put the retreat agenda, to select the venue, and all the different planning that went into the organization of the retreat. So at that particular time, the leadership had now resolved on what exactly would take place. But given the fact that the budget has so many demands in terms of requests, because the budget delay here, and then when it got passed, all the different institutions were making requests. So in the wisdom of the Secretary of the Senate, he outlined few things that he felt the request was going to take care of. When this request went to the ministry, the Senate leadership had a meeting, and that meeting was to clearly define how the retreat would be. But this request has already left the Secretary of the Senate. So we then came together, we said, look, $275, 275,000 United States dollars is nowhere in our budget on account of retreat. So the only area we can source the money is committee hearing. And our core function in this legislature has to do with committee. So let us recast. There is the exact word I want you to take away, recast. Because we have people running with this sheet. When you leave from here, define the word recast. The Senate took a decision to recast this tentative budget that was requested for by the Secretary of the Senate. Recast means leaving from the original and departing from the original budget, and taking another path. So that path is what we are going to present to you. It's the same 275,000, but a decision was made by the leadership of the Senate to then recast whatever amount had been requested so that it conform with what our work is. Then, of course, the recast came. When the Senate took a decision and the budget was recast, these are the new lines for this 275. And I will go through it one by one. This is the request that was made by the Secretary of the Senate. When the leadership of the Senate took a decision to recast the budget, along with the retreat committee, they came up with a new budget. But the line did not shift because we all dealing with committee hearing. Even this first request, you could not source it anywhere, although it is not in the budget, in the tomb of 275 or any retreat or whatever. So you can only get it from committee hearing. So based on our line item in the budget, the leadership took a decision to recast. Please, press, take the word recast. A request was made by the Secretary of the Senate. The Senate leadership met and said, no, although the request has gone, but it's coming from the same line. But then we'll recast the request that was made to suit what our core function is. And this is how the recast budget looks. Every senator is the head of a committee in here. And if in the entire year you have 2,020,000 on that line committee hearing, then every time a money is received on that line, it enhances all the senators' work. So we said, the Senate took a decision in the recast. We say, let $3,000 go to every senator for their entire work that they've been doing. Although in some instances, when you call people, you got to buy the water, you got to make sure that you have the press cover your hearing, this and that. So every senator will get $3,000, all of what you've been spending at the onset of all the different hearings. That's a reimbursement. Maybe you do it at the expense of their salary. Then we also came, we said, look, since indeed we are going to Buchanan, and the retreat will basically deal with committees, how committees will take responsibility, like in the case of the Mete and the CDM investigation and all the different investigations. We're going to also give $2,000, but that amount will be in the equivalent of Liberian dollar. Now, while you're in Buchanan, all the different issues on your committee will be looked at by every senator. I made a presentation there on the revenue aspect. How can we mobilize revenue to reach the 1 billion target? And other senators made presentation on local government, on different areas. So the 2,000 value in Liberian dollars was also given to every senator as a way to enhance their committee work while they are on the 3-day committee activities in Bassa. So if you total the 5,000 going across all senators, that would be 90,000 in the 3,000 category, and then 60,000 in the 2,000 category. But although it was the equivalent of Liberian dollar. Then we have additional retreat expenses besides, what I just stated up there. And that retreat expense was the handling of the cash to pay to the retreat committee, because they were not issued check. They were issued cash to all the hotels and then the DSA for participants and all that kind of stuff. So for the Senate Finance Committee to take those cash from one place to another, from the bank, transport it to Bassa, $8,000 was issued to them for handling fee and all the different stuff. We also had to give our Secretary of the Senate $1,000 to enhance his work. He stayed the secretary to enhance the work at the retreat. Of course, after the retreat and during the retreat, those of the press, national press, and I'm not talking about the local, that interacted with us, the records are there, $3,000. And then stationery and supplies on the retreat, $4,379. We also have administrative expense. So at the level of the retreat, we had $16,379 at the level of the retreat on other expenditure. Then administratively, we had expenses that we needed to make here at the level of the Senate. So we have the burglary issue case that we're following up. You heard about it. We needed to finalize it all the way to the police. And that's what we call it housekeeping. But for the purpose of this, we'll make everything okay. And that's why we signed up for. Then we need to purchase light at the back of the building. That's what the security advised. We had another money going into that. Certain time, there was a problem with generator here. There was no current here. The connection, we have to borrow money to settle that 2 times. We will not have section. 10,000 went into that. There's a Wi-Fi and IT work going on here. Those of you that have been around, the senators are aware. The code is there. We have to restore that. In the tune of 4.5. And then preparation of bid documents for all our vehicle, where other people come and apply. These are housekeeping things. But for the purpose of transparency and people wanting to know what happened to 275, whether it just went in the thin air, we decided to, do all the different breakdown. Then, of course, there came the $50,000 budget for the retreat committee. And that $50,000, to date, the detailed report here, the committee just submitted. The detailed report here is signed not only by the control. We'll give it to you. And then we have all of the $47,000, $42,840 was used. And the committee still have a balance of $4,160. Are we clear? $4,160. So in the breakdown of this 275,000, you will definitely see the retreat component of it. There were $50,000 budgeted, but disbursed from the 275 that we received was 47,000. Even out of the 47,000, what they reported, they said they still have 4,100. I will give you this. And they didn't just give us just ordinary receipt. The city government for Buchanan, the renting of the hall, K Plaza, those that know K Plaza for accommodation, Samoa Lodge and services. You have all the different Buchanan Hotel, the more talk about Buchanan Hotel, everything here, who all lodged there, DSA that was signed for, everything. Philomena's guest house. Can you imagine all of them that people had? Crystal guest house. EKF, those that know Buchanan, they'll try to find out. Everything STEM. Maybe these are ghost guest houses or whatever. Then we have no limit bar, restaurants, and guest house. So for catering, the details there, they have to provide all the receipts. Then DSA on staffers, how they were receiving it. These are the signatures of staffers. These are the signatures. These are the signatures. Those are received facilitators. And I mean, we'll leave it where, I mean, you can go through it. We just want to. Okay. K bar, K and B, fingers and bar restaurants. So these are all receipts. So to summarize, the 42,000 here, the details are here, the same thing. Accommodation on all the received, including senators, administrative staffers, senators, staffers, took $15,970, or 122 persons, I'm told. Car rental and gas, $1,820. Hall rental, $3,000. Cleaning materials, $950. Facilitators, $2,650. Local media operations, announcement and all the other different things, $1,500. Senators and support staff, $2,500. The retreat catering, $4,000. Senators support staff DSA, $3,000. Secretariat, the retreat secretariat, $4,000. Police operation, $500. Administrative staff DSA, $2,950. So when you sum up this, you have for the $2,840 that were actually spent from the 47,000 that were received from our Senate Final Office to the retreat committee for the handling of the. So they are reporting a balance of 4,160 that would eventually make its way to the Senate bank account. So to summarize this report, the total payment of all that we stated here, including the 47,000 out of the 275,000, went to 238,879 United States dollars. Current bank account of the Senate, the whole Senate, is $36,121. So we have a transitory account. Our Senate account is now an individual bank account that you can go keep money there. When money comes, they come for purpose and it passes through. So when the 275 got there, and after all the different expenses, you know, our controller, our accountant is reporting, he signed this, a bank balance of $36,121. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, we appreciate those that have tried to understand what was requested and how it was spent. I think that's the beauty of democracy. That's what the full estate is about. But we just thought that by coming to us and asking us to give these financial documents, I mean, we don't have problem. And we don't have problem. Exclusively no problem. Absolutely no problem. Because nothing that was done that was not in the right place. When the media broke the news about 700,000 that was spent on retreat, we challenged that it can never happen. How is that possible? And we said the budget for the retreat, as it was recast, particularly was 50,000. Out of that 50,000 to date, only 47,000 was sent, and nothing has changed. And we are now seeing, even out of the 47,000, only 42,000 and change was used. Nothing has changed. The 290 was exclusively requested for since May the 2nd. It has nothing to do with retreat. That's a legitimate line under the budget of the Senate. It didn't come from Blue Sky. It didn't come from anywhere. In fact, it's been there for more than 10 years. And if you break down what goes into that 10,000 for constituency visit, it tells you that a senator in a county monthly will have to use $833.30. All of you here, you know the truth. You go Banga, you go Bon County, you go Kmon, you go a senator. You make all the trips you make in 1 month time. That budget line telling you only $833.30. But it doesn't come monthly. So either you receive it in the 3rd month of the year or in the 6th month of the year when the money is available. But you have to be spending your money. You are under obligation to go visit your constituents. When there are programs, they invite you. You will not say, government has not paid my constituency visit, so I'm not going there. No. So when it comes once, like we have received it, nothing going to come like constituency visitation. From now to December of this year, I, as a senior senator of Bon County, I have to make all the trips and attend all the programs. That's my responsibility. On the line of 275, nobody just sat down and imagined. We say our core function is committee hearing. Did the money come from personnel pay? No. They come from a line that we cannot identify, or it was just some kind of secret line. No. It came from the committee hearing line. And there, all of our core functions are based in terms of financial, obligation to the different work that we'll be doing. So if the Secretary of the Senate, without concluding with the leadership of the Senate, made in advance a request to say, yeah, oh, Senator will get it, Senator will get it, Senator will get this. And then the Senator came and said, no, the budget you sent, Secretary, yes, you are our chief scribe, we respect you, we respect your signature, but we have to recast the budget. And we all are budget people. Recast is like you're taking from the original position and putting it to a position that will better suit the nature of the work that you do. We said, no, we don't want anything they call, feelings or what they were putting here. Somebody was having a document. What you call senator allowance? We don't have anything they call allowance. We do committee hearing. I delay you because I had 2-3 hearings today. There was not that I was just sitting. So we said, no, our core budget and our work, nothing in our budget called allowance. So we'll take it from there and put it to committee hearing. Yes, that's the first recast line. Then he said, facilitators. Yes, but look at the amount, 25. No. This is our core function. If you take all the money there for committee and say you put it to facilitator, 25. No. How much facilitator got? 2,000, I think, plus in the 47,000. The put there is supposed to be feeding, but I think the other document I've been seeing around say feedings or whatever. For all 75,000, how is that possible? What kind of crew you going to feed? So we, in our recast budget, under this 47,000, we said no. The entire feeding of the catering came up to $4,000. So out of what they were projecting here, we said no. Okay. Then you have accommodation for all $25,000. No. All of us, including our staffers and administrative staff, we only used $15,970 for accommodation. That's recast. That's the budget language, recast. Go and define it. So nothing here that somebody duping or whatever. But did they come from the legitimate line of our budget? Yes. Where? Committee hearing. How much is there? Display it on all the media. 2,020,000 for the whole year. On all the committee work, they start going back. And don't tell me, and you know, our budget did not come down. No, we are telling you, this budget, current budget, came down less than, $3 million. It's less by $3 million. If the outline of the 2023 budget is anything to go by, then the Secretary of the Senate also says staff, security, and drivers, 25,000. No, that's not. It was recast. Although we received the money, but the drivers, the support staff, we have 2,005 first. Then you have DSA, 2,650, and 2,500. You're talking about, 5,150. So you projecting 25,000. That was how it. So we thought to make this clear to the public that will have nothing to hide. Honor the leadership of Pro Tem Nyongli Kanga Lawrence. The Senate has nothing, absolutely nothing to hide. And we'll continue to stand by transparency. We'll continue to stand by. That's why the first appearance on Spoon, we said 290. In fact, you're talking about Senator received this. I tell you, I give you the land clear. Senator Amara Kwana Kim, he made a whole, report. But nothing is contradicting here. 3,000 for committee hearing at the national level here. While we're going, Senator said, 2,000, now 5,000 right there. Nothing wrong with that. Nobody has contradicted anything here. Somebody said the retreat budget was 50,000. Budget is one thing. What is actually spent is another thing. Yeah, for the 7,000 to date, at the time we're discussing, that was what we disbursed. Nothing has changed from that statement. What a contradiction. What's the contradiction? Nothing has changed. It's just the way people are running with it and the way the interpretation has been, in the public. So we'll stop there, having sufficiently laid up all the documents are for you. You don't have to use the Freedom of Information Act to get it from us. That's why we signed up on that we're going to be open during our financial dealings. I have given you a trace of document. When the first request went, when the second one went, when we officially transmitted our budget to the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, and when the execution of that budget started. So you have a trace of document. So nothing there contradicting. You can say, but you have made a request May. You have received the money May when you have not transmitted your detailed budget to the Minister of Finance and Development Planning. Where you got that money from? These are questions. Okay, you said 275. You requested on different line. On different line. And then we said no. It's for committee hearing. So we'll stop here, like I said. We'll take one or two questions. Thank you.
Okay, we have just heard from the chairperson. One explanation, so we now take questions. So please, Spoon.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Moye. I'm Nelson Collet from Spoon. I have a few concerns, but the first one is who authorized the Secretary of the Senate to request the initial amount, 290,000? Who authorized the Secretary of the Senate to do that?
It's a committee line thing. We can instruct the finance office to look into our budget and request for a line when it is appropriate to request for. So it's the finance office. I'm not the finance. That's why I was waiting. I was telling people when my finance office feed me with all the documents and I'll authenticate them, then I will make a presentation. So it's our finance department that will give the line that we need to request on to the Secretary of the Senate. And then the Secretary of the Senate can make a counter check with the leadership, more especially those that have financial, responsibility in the Senate. And that go ahead can be given. He doesn't make requests without an approval from the finance office, and the finance office cannot proceed with all getting approval from the pro tem and myself.
So it means that you and the pro tem approve the initial request that was made by the Secretary of the Senate? Is that what?
We approved the 290. We approved the 290. But the 275 detail was not provided. But the amount was agreed on to come from the committee hearing line. But the detail of that amount was not agreed on initially, but we agreed on 275. So in an attempt for the finance office to have a breakdown, you cannot just go to finance and just request for money. There's a new standard. Maybe it happened in time past. So when they carried the initial request for 275, then the Deputy Minister of Budget said we need a detail on this. So that's when they decided to do their own detail, and, to present, just to make sure that the 275 is accounted for. But then when we noticed that the 275 request that we agreed on had gone, but the appropriation was not what the leadership of the Senate agreed on, we say, look, let's do a recast. And that recast is just what I presented, and we'll leave it with you people.
Now, my final question, I did hear 3,000 for media. You care to further elaborate on how that money was dispersed? Which media institutions received a portion of the...
Our finance office can provide a detail. There's a request of 2,000 somewhere that has been, handled. And I mean, y'all know the media people. So maybe everybody can be together. Those that were opportune at that time to meet the finance president, they will receive it. So we don't want to. That one is for your own investigation.
Yeah.
But we have requests. We have requests available to us that we fund.
Senator,
So because-
follow up to that.
Please be organized. Front page.
Obadiah Johnson from British Africa.
Follow up.
Senator Moye, what was the rationale behind the request of the 290,000 prior to an itemized budget from the Liberian Senate for its retreat to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning? That's one. The second one has to do with, there is this perception within the Liberian public that members of the Liberian legislature, particularly the Senate, have allegedly been using the national budget as a conduit to carry on alleged corruption or accumulate ill-gotten wealth. What is your response, sir?
No, I mean, it means that, let me first answer, and that's why when we're speaking to issue, the press should be the one to give the information as it comes from us. I'm still sitting here. All of what I have said is still, presenting it. You're asking the question. There were no 290 requested on account of retreat. 290 were requested since May 2nd on account of a constituency visit line that is in the budget. 275 request was made from our committee hearing, legislative committee hearings line. And committee hearing, that line takes care of our housekeeping. I said, when you look in the budget I'm going to leave for you, nothing there that operation. Before then, people used to use the operation line to take care of housekeeping and all the kind of stuff. This, a chamber of the first branch of government. So we have the same way administratively thing and sport here. They stole from us and we got to make sure that our security here follow the case to police. We can't go request to finance that there's a line on our budget called when burglary take place, we should fund it. We don't have line in our budget called put up bid for vendors to apply in the newspaper, how many newspaper as per PPCC standard, to apply to us that we have vehicle that we want to be purchased. No line in the budget called that. So all of that comes from committee hearing. So I know when you leave from here, the 2,220,000, which is not anything that anybody can hide, is in the budget, will be something. But these are activities, the housekeeping, on top of committee hearing, the housekeeping work. Generators for here. You were here almost 2, 3 weeks. They used to say, the Chinese lay on at the Senate side. But there was a major problem that we needed to fund, almost $15,000. You can't go get that money from anywhere. Our line are not capacitated in the budget to hold that. You got to get it from committee hearing line. So is that core function to take care of the hospital procurement adding that stationary that one? You got to go procure vehicle, you got to go procure. There are lines that are procurable. That means we don't handle that money, go directly to the vendor. Like gasoline, we don't handle money, go directly to the vendor. But, one of the things that will have the propensity to store our work, then it comes from committee hearing. So I want to say that clearly. So the 275 was not requested purely because of the retreat. It was a committee hearing line to take care of our committee hearing and to do housekeeping and other matters. So
including
today
the retreat. Including the retreat.
Including the retreat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was not only for retreat. Only for the 7,000 was purposely used for the retreat. Out of the 47,000, 4,160 still available. And that's our budgeting.
Emmanuel, Heritage.
Yes, it was a follow-up to the question. I want to know what were the key activities done with the media that cost you up to $3,000 US.
We are told.
In fact, each of the media institutions that went with you received just $10,000.
Okay, so on top of that, we have our press bureau that when we leave from those places, they come and do publication, the meeting that went into the retreat. All the good things that we discussed there that leading to the vigorous hearing on the matters and other hearings. Those things have been overshadowed by just somebody put into the press that 700,000. So everything that we discussed there had gone underwater because of just flagging 700,000 send it to go marry me. So it is we are under obligation to publish, to put in the paper those things that we discussed in detail in our achievement at the retreat. So our press bureau will handle media institutions to have that detail, and we'll have the request that we're funding now, and no media institution will come up with credible reporting that will suit what went on in Buchanan. So I'd like to make that clear. So now, something that, for the lack of better words, sorry, that cartoon thing, we just go take it and give it behind all this and that. The cartoon part, anybody can give it at any time. That one, we all give it. And that's only for all to account for here. But we're talking about a request that detail how media institution will be approached to detail what we did in Basel. We have that, and we're funding that, and the right, report will come up on the Buchanan something. So I'd like to make that clear. Before you start pointing finger now, I thought, oh yeah, Henry, the other person or it began maybe that. No. It's our media, the Senate media will now handle all the different issues.
So it means that the Senate media knows exactly how the 3,000 was spent. When in fact there were 4 media institutions carried, and each of those media institutions received $50. So the press bureau can account for the remaining 2,800 thereabouts.
I just saw that one in the press bureau right here, so they will know how to engage. We are saying, you know, the liar is the president that can be, and you know, all what's saying this. I am telling you what the Senate has decided to do and what the Senate is doing through our press bureau to publish exactly what transpired in Grand Bassa County, specifically Buchanan. And we are under obligation to do that. And that will be even some of their work in hindering those kinds of things in the public.
Senator, my name is Emmanuel to a report for Coup. I'm concerned. Following the media report, now the Senate is coming out with all of these pieces of information. So if the media couldn't have reported that the Senate allegedly used around $700,000 US with the retreat, all of that, so the pieces of document could not come out. That's my
Okay,
concern.
so thank you. But are you also proud of the media saying to the public 700,000 was used without giving any on the retreat, without even doing fact finding and putting that into the public? Are you proud of your media of doing that? And everything that we show here had never informed the Liberian people in the world that a request on account of a retreat that was held in Buchanan took 700,000. Are you also proud of your very media that's supposed to be investigative, that's supposed to use the ABC? I'm not a media person. If you are there, come to me, and having heard that and say, Senator, you are the waste, means and funders. We heard some kind of media people reporting this, and we want to find the fight. We'll make the document available. But we were taking, I'm not under pressure. Something that you did wrong is why you are under pressure to be all over the place. We were waiting for the right time to do the right report with all the hotels in Buchanan, with all the restaurants, this and that, so that you get it. Nothing there to hide. Under the leadership of Madam Kanga Lawrence as pro tem, we strive for transparency. And that's why we have signed up on. That's why we have said to ourselves, this is why they're beating on us. They'll say you're going to do things rightly. And this is why we have, mustered the courage to bring all the documents here. But we could not have done it prematurely because somebody put in figure in the public glare, and just to impugn on the reputation of people, and then we'll be fat now, and do it. This is the time. After 3, 4 days, 5 days after the retreat, it hasn't gone for a month for all the time. We needed to get all the different stuff quietly and report, to the public. So your answer to that question, the media first did not say the truth. Those that carry it falsely, that there was a document that they had in their possession that had only 700,000 for retreat, for Senate retreat. So you should first make that correction. What the Senate retreat took was for the 7,000, and other than for the 7,000, for the 2,000 and change was used for the Buchanan retreat. Everything that went into the bottom 275 has to do with the upkeep of the Senate and our normal line called committee hearing that all senators are under obligation to have.
One final question from me. What happens to the remaining amount? The 275K, what happens to the remaining amount?
The thing I just said to you, we'll give you the document. We gave you a breakdown of the 275. And I told you we'll run an institution. It's now joined, some kind of on the side. We have a bank account, transitory bank accounts that this money go into, and they can only come up because of cost. So you don't expect enough money that you then went and put it in, and bag and start divide. Everything we did went through check. The only one that we have to pay, take to Buchanan, which our finance office was very protective of, to making sure that you carry a volume of LD, to pay hotel owner, this and that, is what we took to Buchanan. But everything that we did here, even check issuing to senators, that's why nobody can lie. Because it's not the usual thing where you go behind the counter or on the counter and take 300,000 and put it in bed and come sit down here and start dividing it. No. It went through the normal banking system, and usually there's not something that you say you got to go empty your bank account because you're forced to empty and make report. No, the account is there, and tomorrow we can have an emergency here. We'll send somebody there to to get money out.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, folks, that's
So,
how we end this very important
please
press
get
conference
all the
on TV.
documents.
I'm Nelson Colette. Thanks for following
Get all
Spoon
the
TV. Keep
documents,
following
and
Spoon
those that are supposed to
and
get it,
all
you
of the
publish.
major updates
Give
that
it to them.
happens in Liberia.